The Nintendo Switch is proving to be a haven for great games. There's so much good stuff on it already, and surely plenty more in the pipeline. What's been even more interesting though is the fact that so many games are selling better on the Switch than on other consoles. People are willing to pick up different kinds of games simply because of the convenience of being able to take it anywhere. Some might be even playing games they wouldn't have otherwise. So maybe it's time for Nintendo to resurrect some of its own series. If fans are willing to give new ideas a try, there's a chance that this might be the best opportunity to bring back these games. They could really thrive on the Switch, and there's so much potential for them. But what games should be brought back? Well, any and all of them, honestly. But I suppose we should limit this to a list of 10, so let's take a look back at some of these games that deserve a second chance. The Switch has been steadily building up a library of quality rhythm games. There's Voz, Thumper, Demo, and Super Beat Sonic, just to name a few. But Nintendo hasn't thrown their hat into that ring yet, and that needs to be fixed, especially when they have a series like Elite Beat Agents. I mean, come on, even the Switch needs hype men, and this trio are some of the best. It's a cult classic with great scenarios and gameplay that kept you invested, even if it was murder on your touchscreen. And that's the trickiest part about this. The gameplay would have to be reworked entirely, at least in docked mode. Voz was originally handheld only, but it is receiving an update to allow for docked mode gameplay this year, so it's absolutely possible that this could work for Elite Beat Agents. And for those who want a more classic experience, handheld mode could replicate the gameplay from the DS and even add new ideas such as a multi-marker, where several markers appear at once and have to be hit at the same time, taking advantage of the Switch's capacitive touchscreen. There could also be a multiplayer mode with the Joy-Con where each person controls a different member of the agents. We haven't gotten an entry in this series since 2007's Japan exclusive Ouendan 2. That simply isn't right. We just hope it has a better song selection this time. Maybe use Jump Up Superstar. That's way better than Skater Boy. Breath of the Wild has truly changed what to expect from the Legend of Zelda series. The shift to a more open world where puzzles can be solved in a multitude of ways really made the game shine. And it seems that this style is here to stay, as series producer Eiji Aonuma has stated that he wants to keep future entries just as open. But what about fans of the original Zelda gameplay style? Dungeons to explore, puzzles to solve, and huge bosses to fight? Well, there's always Star Tropics. It was already being compared to the structure of The Legend of Zelda back on the NES, so why not bring it back and let it be that kind of Zelda experience? It would naturally feel different just because of the science fiction setting, where you fight aliens with a special yo-yo. Yeah, it's silly, but that just leaves room for memorable settings, items, bosses, and dungeons as the main character Mike explores the Coral Cola Islands. It'd be a great way to please fans of the original Star Tropics and Zelda fans who want something a bit more traditional. It really seems like the world has fallen in love with Kirby, and that love is warranted as he has some truly fantastic games. But there's another HAL character that deserves some love, Lolo. You may know him better as Lololo along with his partner La, who were featured as bosses in several Kirby games. But the pair actually had their own trilogy of games on the NES where they were known as Lolo and La. These games were simple, addictive puzzlers where players had to figure out the best way to avoid enemies, collect hearts to open a chest, and then reach the chest to open the way further. A revival of this wonderful series would be perfect on the Switch, especially as a smaller eShop title that harkened back to the NES days with updated graphics and music. Because if there's one thing that Lolo needed, it was way more music. The original game's one song, while catchy, would drive you absolutely mad. Like HAL, Intelligent Systems works on many different series, but they're perhaps best known these days for Fire Emblem, a series that has absolutely exploded in popularity in recent years, despite the first 6 games never releasing worldwide. The turnaround has been great for fans, But there's another strategy series of theirs that should return, Advance Wars. Like Fire Emblem, most of its early titles stayed in Japan until the Game Boy Advance. There, fans saw the unique characters, the fun turn-based combat, and the different strategies focusing on commanding officer powers. The idea was completely different from Fire Emblem, despite both being turn-based strategies, yet they were still filled with memorable characters. If Intelligent Systems applied what they've learned with Fire Emblem to a new Advance Wars, we could see something special. And if it does become a hit, then Advance Wars could help break up the seemingly constant stream of Fire Emblem releases and help make both series feel that much more special. We're not sure if it'll actually happen, but at least the upcoming indie game Wargroove should pick up some of the slack for Advance Wars fans. Look, there's really not much more for me to add when it comes to Pokémon Snap. It is a shockingly fun take on the Pokémon universe that allowed fans to see Pokémon in natural environments in 3D, which was really cool back in the day. And it could be so much more now. There are currently 807 different Pokémon, and the original game only featured 63 of the 151 available at the time. This is an idea that can so easily be expanded with the protagonist journeying from region to region in order to photograph more Pokémon, simultaneously allowing us to see famous reimagined areas from the games in HD, and a great sense of progression as you try to catch them all, on film. There could even be boss fights against legendary or mythical Pokémon in the same vein as Mew, and maybe even throw in some Nintendo Labo support with that camera that we've seen. It would add that extra layer of fun for kids. There is just so much untapped potential here. Come on, snap to it, Nintendo! Harder-edged Mario characters kicking the crap out of each other while playing soccer is an idea that sounds insane, and it is, but that's what makes it so great. It's a Mario sports title that goes completely into its idea and was so fun to pick up and play with friends. Bringing the series to a console that naturally facilitates local multiplayer is a no-brainer, especially with the cast of Mario characters expanding in the 11 years since Mario Strikers Charged. Rosalina, the Koopalings, Dixie Kong, and even the Broodals would be great as possible new captains, mainly because of the sheer joy we'd have seeing their redesigns and harder attitudes. The biggest hurdle, of course, is Nintendo themselves. Would they let their Mario characters go hardcore again? It seems unlikely, but man, if only. Puyo Puyo Tetris has proven that there's a market for classic puzzlers on the Switch, and one of my favorite puzzle games is Pokémon Puzzle League, which was actually never released in Japan. Really, it's just the version most people would have heard of, as the actual mechanics of the game has gone under many titles over the years. The first was in Japan as Panel de Pon, which was reskinned for an international release as Tetris Attack, even though it has nothing to do with Tetris. After that, it finally settled on the Puzzle League name. The basic idea is that blocks constantly rise from the bottom of the screen, and the player has to switch their positions horizontally or vertically in order to match 3 or more in a row. It's simple, addictive, and I would take any version of this game. It's been a while since we've had a new entry too, as it last appeared on Game Boy Advance as part of Dr. Mario and Puzzle League. However, Panel de Pon did get a spot on the Super Famicom Mini, so maybe there's hope for a new game. If you're talking about a cult classic Nintendo RPG, it's either Earthbound or Golden Sun. And it's been a while since Golden Sun Dark Dawn released, ending with a bit of a cliffhanger no less. As we noted in our Nintendo Developers video, there was an 8-year gap between The Lost Age and Dark Dawn, and we've reached another 8-year hiatus. While the reception for Dark Dawn wasn't the best, it still gave us more of that world and deserves a sequel. There's so much that the series could do on the Switch and evolve from what came before. New gen, a cel-shaded art style, maybe even voice acting. Heck, if they don't want to take as much of a risk, Camelot could keep the sequel simple by harkening back to the graphics of the GBA games and releasing it as an eShop title. By this point, fans simply want the series to continue. Speaking of fan demand, it's insane that we haven't gotten another F-Zero since 2004 with the Japan-exclusive F-Zero Climax for Game Boy Advance. I mean, F-Zero GX is widely considered to be one of the best racing games on the GameCube, and Captain Falcon is a beloved character thanks to Super Smash Bros. Not only that, but Fast Racing Neo and Fast RMX have both seen success on Nintendo consoles. The demand is there, we just need an actual game. Seeing the sense of speed in HD would be awesome, and the track creator could even return with a little help from Labo technology, especially since F-Zero tracks can be a little nuts. It needs to happen sometime in the Switch's lifespan. And bonus points if they mimic the story mode from GX, which was really difficult, but had that right amount of Captain Falcon cheese. Stunt Race Fx is... wait, really? That's just plain silly. Well, I have heard that some really weird people out there even want a car from this game in the next Smash Bros. I mean, that's... no. Just... no. Get back in there. Now, Ice Climber may seem just as silly a suggestion as Stunt Race Fx. It's the oldest game in this list. It's never received a sequel. It's not even regarded as that much of a classic. It was simply one of the NES's launch titles. But then there's Nana and Popo, who have gotten popular thanks to Super Smash Bros. And that is a series that can do amazing things for a Nintendo franchise. It got Fire Emblem localized in the West. It led to the return of Pit. And it allows Nintendo fans to care about characters and games that came before their time. People were genuinely upset that Nana and Popo didn't make the cut into Super Smash Bros. For Wii U because of the 3DS version holding it back. It's time for these two to get a new game, something that updates the idea of climbing a mountain while avoiding crazy wildlife. And the Switch is the perfect opportunity thanks to the twin Joy-Con. Imagine Nana and Popo working together to climb different mountains, each having different abilities and skills. It'd be an opportunity for some pure platforming with a co-op twist. And even if it just became an eShop title, there's still plenty of opportunity there just to gauge interest. It really is time for Nana and Popo to get a second shot and show why they deserve to be in Smash. But these are just some of the ideas that we had. There are so many Nintendo games and series that could come back and be something great. Yes, even Stunt Race Fx. But what are some of your ideas, and how would they benefit from being on the Switch? Let us know in the comments, and be sure to hit that subscribe button for future Switch content and even more from GameXplain.